Thank you. I'll begin with questions. Mr. Kaplan, you just made a case that the system works. Ms. Abruzzo and Mr. Cochran refute that. How would you respond to them?
I think, excuse me, I think they highlight the time it takes to get a decision issued by the board, and at times it has taken too long. I think there's an understanding that it could work faster. I would say when we were in the majority under the previous administration, our backlog was at its lowest.
When you say we, you mean?
I'm sorry, yes. 9 years on the board, you end up talking to yourself as if you're still a member of it. The board itself, when the Republicans were in the majority, we got the backlog down to the lowest levels, probably in recent memory.
So Ms. Abruzzo, who I'm sure will differ, but her point that the under-resourced, the implication is with current resources cannot manage. Your point was that in previous times with roughly equal resources, you were actually able to get the backlog down.
I think the question becomes, so there's two sides of the board. There's the board side and there's the GC side. The GC side, the argument is there's not enough staff there to work on those cases. I would argue on the board side there is, and that the board has worked effectively when it has made those efforts to be able to address.
Mr. Cochran would make the point that, tell us how you would view his statement in terms of, it's taken too long to get a deal sort of thing.
Well, I don't know the specifics of the Volkswagen deal but there's been other statements here talking about JFK 8 and the issues there. And let me just say, if you've read my dissent in JFK 8, there were a lot more issues going on there than merely what collective bargaining or what was appropriate or what terms were at issue. These were issues with the representational election itself. So delays, I would argue, are not necessarily just at the bargaining table. They can relate to different things. And the time it takes for the board to analyze a charge, determine whether it's meritorious, and then create the record through which a decision can be made does take time. But it's that time that provides the information that is necessary to make a thoughtful decision at the board level. At times, the board has not worked as effectively as I would argue it could with regard to adjudicating those cases and determining merit or determining what remedies were appropriate. But I would say the board, as it exists today, is able to make those determinations in a timely manner. Whether the GC side works fast enough with regards to making its determinations on merit and whether a charge should be filed at all is a different issue entirely, and I think it depends on the general counsel.
Mr. Cochran, I'm told that Volkswagen made an offer to the union, but that the union did not present it for a vote. Any circumstances around that we should know?
Well, at their own admission, Volkswagen said that offer is full of clerical errors, and they're not letting the people see the entirety of it. So that's something until all that stuff is settled out. How do we bring it back to our workers when the company itself says it's full of clerical errors and it must be approved by their board before they can make sure it's right?
Now, Ms. Gressler, sometimes 30% of these go beyond 3 years. Is that equally divided as responsibility between labor and unions, or is that more one or the other, or tell us?
Yeah, it's both. Both sides have a lot at stake here. These are legally binding contracts for multiple years, and especially when establishing the first contract, that can take a lot of time to figure out what are the issues.
So any sense of relative percent between the unions versus the employer as to who's responsible for it not being completed within 3 years?
I don't have an average.
Mr. O'Brien, what would be a reason for a union to not agree to, my same question, if you will, it can go beyond 3 years. And so some of these bills would seek to put a shot clock on it, but apparently sometimes it's labor which does not agree to a contract within 3 years. Perspective on that?
I don't agree with that statement.
Microphone, please.
You weren't there to help me out. I don't agree with that statement because when we're organizing, I was an organizer. I've been in the union 35 years. I've held every position. When I was organizing, when employees seek to unionize their workplace, they come to you and they identify all the issues. And you formulate, at that point in time, you start formulating potential solutions in the event you get to an election. So you are well prepared on the issues on what is causing a workplace to form a union. For something to take
I'm out of time. I may come back to that at the end.
okay.
Okay, I'm trying to keep us on track. Next, Senator Sanders.